This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.
Welcome to episode 31 of Paranormal Dads. I'm your co-host, Andy.
I'm Pat.
And I'm Eddie.
Join us as we go in search of the world's monsters, myths, and mysteries right here on Paranormal Dads.
From the Great Plains, Paranormal Dads are once again in session here in the Eddie Studios.
Yes.
Studio Day Eddie.
Yes.
Nothing can stop us. Not wind, sleet, snow.
Nothing's gonna stop us.
It's frozen tundra,
now.
but it's all good.
Might be cold outside, but it's white hot inside here with
A lot of love in this room.
paranormal positivity. Yeah, so we're just cranking them out and having a fun time together.
So, what you boys been up to? Anything exciting?
I am eagerly anticipating the new wave of 2019 superhero movies. Give you a little hint about what's coming up on the Poppin' Paranormal section. But I'm excited. I believe Captain Marvel comes out, I believe, next week. So I'm excited to see that as well.
See, for me, that one, I mean, we'll probably get into this a
Yeah.
little more, but that one, when I heard Captain Marvel, I'm thinking, oh, Shazam, right?
Yeah.
No.
No.
It's something different.
You're
It's
wrong.
different. Yeah. Shows you what I know about comic books, but
We'll get into that.
anyway, but yeah, so you're excited about the Captain Marvel movies. I'm myself, I'm a little down right now because I haven't had a Star Wars movie in a while.
It's been a while.
It's been over a year. I think they just finished principal photography on the latest one, which will be episode 9? I think?
9. Yep.
So I'm kind of excited about that, but that's still probably a year away.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's slated to come out.
And there's no other in between movie, is there?
No, I don't think there's anything in the works right now. There was talk of a Obi-Wan movie and a Boba Fett movie, but I think those projects have been put on hold or are out in limbo someplace. So
It's hot garbage, I say. More Star Wars, please.
yes,
It's not garbage. As for me, the only thing been playing on my TV lately is this Netflix show. It's a couple years old by now, but it's called My Babysitter is a Vampire.
nice.
I heard of this.
And it's very kind of cutesy. It's very kind of clean cut. I'd say it's more made for like preteens. So nothing gory, nothing raunchy. But my 4.5-year-old daughter is obsessed with this show.
Really?
And Sky, we've just been me and Sky have been binge watching it all week long, and she just can't. She's on a vampire kick.
Really.
It's the cutest
Yes,
thing.
I love it.
And it's kind of cute to see her graduate from cartoons, and now she wants to watch, quote unquote, big girl shows.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
me and her mom actually broke down and let her watch Twilight. Totally losing my good parent cred here. We
think
let her
it's-
watch Twilight. It's no more than PG-13.
It's
tops.
fairly safe, right? There's
It
not
is.
a lot of.
I mean,
there's some violence, I think.
It's not super gory, but she was enthralled with that as well, and she was totally Team Edward. And
Really?
she was, and she was like, "I like him because he's handsome."
Oh, see, I was Jacob all the way.
Were
man.
ya?
Yeah, it was just me though.
It's those abs, man. I'll get
Those
you.
abs. He wants to keep her safe.
He's just so wolfy, right?
You can see why I like him.
Well, Sky said she liked Edward because he, what she said, he's handsome and he can read minds like Dad.
Oh, maybe you're a vampire, Andy.
Maybe I'm a vampire. Yeah.
I'm Team Wallflower. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. I never watched the show.
You're missing out, Pat. You're missing out.
Is he though? Really? Sorry, Twilight fans.
Oh,
Gonna get some
no.
hate mail.
Don't do it.
From vampires to superhero movies and even Bigfoot sightings.
Bigfoot sightings. We're going to go right into recent sightings where the big man makes an appearance.
Oh dear.
Here we go.
So Dateline, this is My phone just went into unlock mode.
Phony phone.
Possible Sasquatch sighting outside of Squamish. What a name. Squamish in
Right?
Squamish, British Columbia. This has actually been around a little while. It was published on April 25th of 2014, but it's a video we recently came across. Shows a couple of guys up sitting on this mountain peak, and they're looking down into this valley, and the valley is just filled with snow, right? And all you can really see on this it's just probably a video shot from a phone.
Yeah.
You can just see a little dark, pinpoint almost.
Yeah. A speck.
Across this white background of snow.
Yep.
But this thing is moving up this mountain peak, and just at a pretty good rate. And these guys said that it's a bipedal.
You can tell it's bipedal.
thing, and it's all one color. Doesn't have a backpack or anything.
It is on 2 feet, and you can tell this thing was moving.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell they're at like 7,000 feet.
Yeah.
So the air is getting pretty thin when you get to that point, and it's just working its way up this mountain. And they're like, why would it go up that way? There's nothing up there.
Yeah, it was weird.
And so it's just kind of an interesting video to watch. There's a very steep drop off below where the video was shot, easily a 300-meter sheer face. So, and they were not equipped with climbing gear to descend down and
Check it out.
go get a closer look.
Yeah.
Before nightfall, because you're talking about conditions where it'd be dangerous to do such a thing. Mm-hmm. But they say they've encountered bears on approach to this summit in the past. They say it's most definitely not a bear. It's bipedal.
Yeah, when
And
bears
it's just
walk
working its
bipedal,
way.
they're not walking like that. They're not
No.
hauling
Yeah.
butt like
This
that.
thing was running uphill.
It was moving
in snow
in
that had to be
deep
several
snow.
feet deep.
And these guys are saying that it didn't have snowshoes on, and that deep snow, it's pretty amazing that something could move that fast without snowshoes if it was bipedal. Kind of an interesting video, but once again, one of those videos where it claims to be a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, but it's such a poor quality. I mean, even though the video is good quality, it's
It's so
so
far
far away, you can't tell what it is.
I mean, what would you guys pin that, a half mile away?
It could be a goat for all we know, but it's just you got to kind of take the poster at their word that it was bipedal, and interesting to see.
The thing that kind of stood out for me, it's obviously not the quality of the footage, because you're kind of looking at a black dot, but the thing that kind of made my hair stand on end when you're looking at it is the remoteness of it, because from their high up vantage point, they even do a panoramic view of the like there is nothing
around
distant mountains, snow covered peaks, nothing.
That's all you saw. It was
Not
just
even a
like
tree.
sheer rock faces, no trees, just snow and rocks, and that was it.
Yeah.
And
Canadians.
And and it appeared to be out there without any kind of gear.
No.
It's just kind of a weird.
Just bushwhacking up the hill, too.
Yeah.
Not even like, it's clear. This is a definition of one of those videos that you look at, and at first you're like, oh, it's a speck on it's a dark little speck moving along a barren white, but then your brain starts trying to make sense of it. It's like, well, it looks like it's on 2 legs. I can tell that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, it's moving really fast for how, and then you start breaking it down in your brain, and then eventually you're like, what am I looking at right now?
Why would a person be out there by themselves in such a dangerous area?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can go to YouTube and take a look for this, and we'll probably post a link to it on the website. But just search for possible Sasquatch sighting outside Squamish. That's Squamish, BC, British Columbia. Has over 2,500 likes to it, so a lot of people have seen this video. But pretty cool video.
I like-
One of those things makes things that make you go,
And I like the kind of just chill, relaxed commentary of the guys filming it. They're just like,
dude,
well, that's a Bigfoot. Why are you running up that way, buddy? There's nothing up there.
There's nothing up there.
Yeah.
And I think they even say something like, wow, good thing we brought the beer.
We got the beer. Maybe he can come have a beer.
Yeah.
Jeez. Like I said, that's the one time that Bigfoot hears him crack open one, turns around and starts bounding up the hill. You're like, I got nowhere to go.
It turns into one of those messing with Sasquatch videos,
Jeez.
commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're saying, like, where are you going, buddy? But if you think, like, once again, he knows where he's going.
He's not the land of sky blue water.
I'm a big proponent of, like, maybe there's some little tucked in pocket he knows to go to, and they just don't know. That's his house.
Definitely is not a hoax, though. I mean, what are you going to do? Tell your buddy, okay, scale down the 300-foot sheer drop and go like
and
a
run
mile
across that field.
Yeah, go
which
a mile.
is probably, I don't know, probably saw that thing go at least 200 yards.
Yeah,
and uphill in the snow.
This is like when our grandpas told us how they got to school.
Yeah.
It's uphill both ways in 3 feet of snow.
Bigfoot's literally doing the grandpa to school.
Maybe he was going to school. Gotta go learn.
This isn't a hairy back, it's my backpack. It's made from yak fur. Yeah, that's a crazy one, man. We should put that up on the site.
Yeah. So that's a short but sweet recent sighting. We'll move on to other adventures.
You saw some of those, but it's recent.
It's recent. It's recent to us, so it counts, right?
It's all relative, man.
Yeah, thanks,
I
Pat.
loved it. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
It's time for pop, culture, and the paranormal.
Shazam! We're talking about Shazam. Now, as Pat had set up in our little intro after we introduced ourselves in the episode, there's a little bit of confusion because for the longest time, this character was referred to as Captain Marvel. And there's been some talk back and forth about, and it kind of comes from a little bit of an older crowd because DC probably around the 90s, and I might be wrong. This is all like pulled from my brain, started referring to Captain Marvel as the word that he would yell out to become Captain Marvel, Shazam. And so it became synonymous with we're just going to call him Shazam. Mm-hmm. And the reason behind that was because Marvel Comics also has a character called Captain Marvel. And in their story, Captain Marvel is kind of a mantle. It's kind of like calling someone Thor. Like somebody else could be, he is Thor, but he also has the power of the Odin son, which makes him have all those powers. Somebody else could technically do that too. He is a demigod. I don't want to get down the rabbit hole, but the point is, it's a mantle for Captain Marvel. So within the Marvel comics, Captain Marvel has been a man, it's been a lady, he's been all sorts of different. The character's been different people because it's kind of a title. In DC, it was a singular character. And so there was this brand confusion, like who's who? I don't know what's what. So DC, back in the 90s-ish, decided we're going to just go with Shazam and just move on. Because that's what he yells out anyway to become, because the idea is he's a boy, like a teenage boy, Billy Batson. For the alliteration for all the comic people. And he yells out the word Shazam, and it actually has a meaning, which we talked about that.
And I was further confused because I was thinking, wasn't this a movie from the mid-'90s with Shaquille O'Neal?
Exactly.
But that was
Kazam?
Kazam. Yeah,
Right.
He was a genie, if I remember right.
Yeah,
Academy Award-winning film, by the way.
Hey, listen, man, they can't all be winners. So the acronym for Shazam is the person who is gifted with this. So it's not even just you yell it out and you become this. You have to be bestowed the mantle of Shazam. And so the reason why I'm talking about this is because the character has some very cool, like, historical, mystical kind of reachings. Within DC, DC divides their characters up into what they call basically, like, people have their powers either through science, through, like, just being like Superman has his to, like, essentially science, like through natural abilities, or magic. And Superman is actually weak to magic. Like he can't, like when he fights somebody magical, they can hurt him because
So if you pull out a deck of cards
Yeah.
and Superman and hey,
Exactly.
start doing some street magic
street
on
ma-
Superman.
it messes him up.
David Blaine would be his kryptonite, man.
David Blaine is his arch nemesis.
He's terrified of rabbits that come out of hats.
Exactly. Exactly. He does some weird like guess a number and Superman's just done. He's had it. So in this vein, Shazam is a magical character. And so this is how he's basically the magic side of DC's Superman. So when Billy Batson yells out Shazam, he gets the wisdom of Solomon, there's the S, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, meaning he can throw lightning out of his hands, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury, including flight. He can fly too. So if you look at this power list, he's basically Superman, and that was kind of some people's kind of critique was like, you got two Supermen? What are you doing? But he's the magical side of DC, and so can basically go toe-to-toe with magical bad guys because Superman can get his clock cleaned by some by some magical baddies, by David Blaine, hiding his car keys from him. Superman's like, what? I need to drive home. I got kryptonite in the back. I can't do this.
Well, the movie looks like it's going to be kind of funny.
I'm excited.
A lot of humor.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, from the previews anyway. So
yeah, it's been fun, and with this kind of going into like the science and the magic stuff, if anybody who's a fan, anyone listening who's been a fan of some of these or all of these, if you are, of superhero movies, in the very beginnings of these, Spider-Man, not very beginning, but the beginning of this new wave, if you will. Spider-Man, Iron Man, these were all like science-y based superheroes. They want Hulk
even.
ish. They wanted to ground it in some sense of quote unquote reality. They didn't want to get too bonkers with it.
Yeah.
And now that we're kind of into it now, and the audiences have kind of been like, okay, we're going along for the ride now. We're going to have fun. Now they're kind of playing with the more kind of out there characters, and so having the more like kind of extravagant backstories, like this kid is summoning the powers of all of these like historical like magicians and wizards and superheroes in their own right. It's
what was
exciting.
the one from? Was it the last Avengers movie? The Doctor Strange.
Yes, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, so he was kind of a mystical. kind of
he's
dude.
a magical character too.
In that one blew me away, Doctor Strange, and I think one of you guys even like prepared me for that before I saw it in the theaters. But very spiritual, very metaphysical, almost like, it was right up my alley.
Yeah,
in terms of the genres that I like, but all this is paranormal because it's beyond what we consider normal,
right?
So it's not ghosts and stuff like that, but it's still paranormal.
It's tapping into the magical realm, and I dig it quite a bit. So this is one that I thought, as a person who liked the character, I'm not a massive my database doesn't run deep with Shazam, but I always liked the character, thought it was kind of cool. He has kind of like his, for Superman, there's Zod. He's a Kryptonian who has the same powers as Superman. In this one, there's a guy named Black Adam, and he is he has the same powers of Shazam. In fact, he calls upon the same powers, and he's essentially like a bad version of Shazam himself.
Like in one of the comics, he kind of wears the same outfit as Shazam, except his outfit is kind of like black with a lightning bolt, where Shazam is like red with a lightning bolt on his chest.
And he has like this like flamboyant looking kind of white cape. It's kind of fun looking. And I think Black Adam has no cape at all.
Yeah.
And Black Adam has like these pointy ears as well. He's a different race of. He's not an alien, but they get into some of that stuff. But it's a very cool backstory. Neat thing, a little bit kind of like wish fulfillment for a kid, where it's like you're a teenage boy, you're getting bullied, but there's something about you that sets you apart, and the ancient wisdom notices that and says that's the kid, and it kind of creates a little bit of a problem too, because like the kid turns into Shazam, but he's still a kid, like mentally maturity level. And in the movie, they're going to have total fun with that because like he still has the he's not a grown adult, so
but he looks like one.
But he looks like one.
Yeah.
It's almost like Big. It's like Big with superpowers.
Like that should be the subcaption under the movie.
Exactly.
Like Big with superpowers.
Like Big with superpowers.
So if you guys had to, and I know this is the old cliche, conversation, but If you guys had to choose a superpower for yourself in real life, what would it be?
I always lean back on this one because I'm torn between superpower, like strength, and flight. But I'm going to go with flight every time.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think it'd be so cool to be able to, just avoid traffic, just get up and fly.
Yeah.
Not even across town, but you can fly.
Yes.
Across the country, around the world, whatever you want to do.
Right. And
so-
quickly.
so cool.
I want to add that. I don't want to fly slowly.
Yeah,
Right. Eddie maxes out at 18 miles an hour.
A 7-year-old on a bike goes quicker than Eddie flying. I'm like an old vacuum cleaner.
But then you could actually get to Antarctica, like we were talking about last episode. It's impossible to get there because you're not allowed. But if you had superpowers, you could fly wherever the heck you wanted, right?
Go where I want.
Yeah.
But you think about it, man. You could be a delivery service. You could go wherever the heck you want to go. You could be like, I need to get you some flowers. Fly to Hawaii, pick flowers for your wife, fly back. Here you go.
So what about you, Andy? What would you?
Well, I'm just thinking the possibilities with that. Eddie's getting my creative mind going now. Yeah, you could do like a sandwich delivery place. Call
Exactly.
yourself, instead of Jimmy John's, it would be Eddie John's.
Exactly. Freaky fast, freakier faster.
Freaky fast flight delivery.
There you go.
Gosh, it's not to be too agreeable, but I think that'd probably be the coolest one, right? Flight. Other
Right.
than that, I don't know.
The wisdom of Solomon.
you got super strength. You've got. I just wonder if there's
How about the power of Zeus?
there's
throwing
always the
lightning
vision
at you?
things where you can see through walls or see through, I don't know, even having like heat vision and
Yeah.
crazy
That's
stuff
true.
like that.
Can melt the icicles off my
I don't know.
house.
Seeing through walls, that just sounds like a lawsuit
Even-
waiting to
even the-
happen.
right.
Yeah.
Super strength would be cool. Maybe the power to heal, like make people feel, or like Doctor Strange, the ability to control time. That'd be kind of fun.
Ooh, yeah.
You might get yourself into trouble with that too.
put that
though.
Yeah,
dial
you
up
could. I could see a lot. You getting yourself into a lot of moral dilemmas with something like that. It's like, I could change this, but should I? Kind of a thing,
Yeah.
You tweak it just the tiniest bit, and then it messes up. So you try to fix that, and then you undo something that's just...
I could see that being a sad life for somebody.
Stick to flight,
Stick
Andy.
to flight.
Let's do it. The Flying Paranormal Dads.
Now
Now we have a sandwich delivery service. I'm making the sandwiches. You guys are flying them all over the place. I never get to fly, guys. Let me fly. Take me with you.
It'd be like Disney's Soaring, except you can do it all the time.
Whenever you want.
awesome.
So yeah, stay tuned. Look for your local theater listings for Shazam. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be totally family appropriate. The trailers indicate that it's soft PG-13. I don't think it's overly salty for people. It just looks like a fun family movie. They're going for a humor aspect, which I love. So, and it has Zachary Levi playing the character of Shazam, and not Billy Batson. It's a different actor. It's a young boy for that one. But I'm very excited. So, here's looking forward to that for all of us who love those things.
And now it's time for the main mystery.
Welcome to the main mystery, gentlemen.
Maine.
Got a good one for you today.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the similarities and synchronicities between John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln?
I have.
I've not.
Yeah.
So there you go. Mixed audience.
And I know we've touched on synchronicities in the past.
I think we talked about some of these.
Yeah.
I think we kind of mentioned it in passing once, and I think we did a kind of a one about the Titanic, which kind of weirdly synced up with a fictional book called
Yeah.
The Titan. But synchronicity is one of my all-time favorite kind of paranormal subjects when two things have a related coincidental connection without any possible explanation. And some of these get so bizarre that they, quite literally defy statistical probability. And it makes you wonder, like how is it history repeating itself? Is it it just makes you scratch your head. So, yeah, a lot of weird similarities between JFK and Abraham Lincoln. So I'm going to go kind of sort of in order from ones that'll just kind of give you pause to ones that'll make your jaw drop. And these are all true, factual. You can check it out. I'm actually pulling this particular information from blog.world-mysteries.com. But this is all over the place.
Yeah.
In fact, I was telling you guys, this is a lot of these bullet points are kind of in one of my books called The Weird 100.
Love it.
It's like that's like our Bible. I mean, that's a kind of our go-to for a lot of these main mysteries. But
And the name you give all your friends.
that's right. So Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946, 100 years later. Lincoln was elected president in 1860. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. Both were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both of their wives lost a child while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Now, here's where it gets even weirder. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy, and Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln.
And that's one of the really weird.
That's
What are the odds?
intentional at this point.
I mean,
The programmers of our Matrix are messing with us.
yeah, let's see if they notice this.
So they can see what's happening.
Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. So Andrew Johnson succeeded President Lincoln, and Andrew Johnson was born in 1808.
Lyndon B.
Lyndon
B.
and that happened in 1908. So. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who killed Kennedy, was born in 1939. So again, everything's happening the same
100
years later. Both assassins were known by all three names: Lee Harvey Oswald and John Wilkes Booth. Both names are comprised of 15 letters.
Yeah.
What?
So, I mean, you could say
people
it's
are just
reaching or
people
looking.
are reaching. They're looking for these, synchronicities, but some of them are really, really weird. It's like, the 15-letter thing, the just how the years are 100 years apart.
That is so weird.
the secretary one kind of blew me away.
Yeah, the secretary one is really weird.
So it gets even weirder. So Lincoln,
What?
yeah, it keeps going. It's on and
Yeah.
on. And this particular article that I'm reading only has, 20 or so of these. There's like 50, 75. It depends how much you want to reach, but they keep going. So Lincoln was shot at the theater named Ford, Ford Theater. Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln car made by the Ford Company.
That's one that's almost reaching,
I mean,
But-
it is,
but
but
it's
it's
still-
not.
it's-
You're right.
Lincoln shot in a Ford Theater. Kennedy, it's weird. Both Booth and Oswald were assassinated before their trials.
Okay.
So here's the real kicker. A week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland, and a week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe. Monroe, Maryland, Marilyn Monroe. It's weird. Again, is it reaching?
I don't know if that's-
I recently was watching there's a very interesting UFO show on Netflix, and I don't have it in front of me. I can't think of the name of it. But they are interviewing this guy who was talking about the relationship between Marilyn Monroe and both John F. Kennedy and Bobby Kennedy, and how she was really, kind of quote unquote connected to these guys.
Oh.
In that way. And so, but they also believed that there's like a UFO angle, that these guys knew about like a government conspiracy or government cover-up, or knowledge of UFO type events, and there is this thought that they may have shared some of this information with Marilyn Monroe, and that is the reason why she was killed, even though she supposedly died of an overdose.
Yeah.
Some people believe it was actually a murder. I mean, it was a very interesting show.
Wow.
And you know, I don't know if you want to go there or not.
But they were trying to impress her in a way and be like, I know about aliens, I'll show you.
Yeah, and that's what these guys were worried about. It's like, oh, she knows too much, because apparently she confided in a friend of hers, and somehow that got back to this dark element of the government, and it's like, she knows too much, we got to get rid of her.
Oh my gosh.
But boy, it was a really interesting show on Netflix. I can't think of the name of it, but
No, you're good. We can look that up pretty easily.
yeah, you gotta. It's worth a watch. I'll have to send it to you.
Was that the crux of the show? That there was like more? There was a.
Oh, there was more to it. It was definitely just kind of like this guy was a legitimate government official, and he was basically coming clean with a lot of the things that were going on. And it makes you wonder. It's like, man, if you're out here talking about all this stuff, why aren't you dead? You know,
Right.
But
maybe it's like the John Lazar.
Bob Lazar.
Lazar.
They talk about Bob Lazar a lot in that episode too.
I mean, in his case, you know, and we talked about this a few episodes back, I think, but, you know, he went so public with the UFO information, he knew that if anything happened to him, that they would know it was the government that took action. But that's interesting. So, yeah, that's a little synchronicity. And here is a little bit more. So, Abraham Lincoln was shot in a theater, and the assassin ran to a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse, and the assassin ran into a theater, so it was opposite. Yeah. So, yeah, it's, I don't know, interesting. But it does border on the paranormal, because some of the, again, it defies statistical probability that these things would be so many coincidences.
Yeah, it's like the reverse of what happened.
Almost like it was repeating itself in some weird way.
Is it history repeating itself? Is you know? And then you get into the territory as, you know, was Kennedy the reincarnated version of Abraham Lincoln and was kind of living a similar life all over again? Yeah. But synchronicity is one of those things that it just boggles the mind. You know, I stumbled across a little, I don't know what you call it, little article on Pinterest about some synchronicities and coincidences. You know, things like, well, you've heard these stories. The internet's not working here.
No.
Eddie, what's your Wi-Fi password for all of our listeners to hear?
My Wi-Fi password is Bigfoot Rules with a Z.
Bigfoot Rules. Well, here's a little coincidence. So someone posted a picture, and it says, my cousin was in his future wife's family picture on a trip to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 7 years before they actually met. So he's just some guy that's standing off in the corner of some stranger that happened to capture in the corner of their family picture, and then 7 years later, he ends up marrying one of the girls in the family
crazy.
From the picture. So it's just like right place, right time kind of coincidence. Here's another one. It's just a picture of this kid with a bruised chin, and caption says, my daughter injured her chin today at dinner, and then afterwards she received this fortune cookie, and the fortune cookie she opened just hours after hurting her chin says, time heals all wounds, keep your chin up.
Oh, that's funny.
So kind of a cutesy one, and not all of them are, you know, paranormal, you know, like in a scary way, but there's another one of a guy took a picture of pigeon pooped on a leaf, and the poop, just the way that it landed on the leaf, it looks like a pigeon.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. And you guys have probably seen it too, like the synchronicity of it was an aerial like drone photo that was of a huge flock of flamingos on this lake. But the way that the flamingos are arranged and laid out, they form the shape of one giant flamingo.
That is hilarious.
To a T, just like perfectly.
Oh, man. It's all the Matrix again.
Yeah, totally.
Do you guys have any like personal synchronicities that have happened? Like maybe just one example of one that you were like, what? No way.
I mean, here's a kind of a cute story for me, and I don't know if it's a synchronicity so much as just one of those like kind of wink from the universe. type deals. But it seemed to get a lot of those, come to think of it, But I remember when my sister Elizabeth, she got engaged, and interestingly enough, it was the day after she got engaged. We were at the office, and one of our clients was in the lobby, just picked a random book off the bookshelf, books on energy and spiritual things and healing and this and that. And so the client opens a book, and a photo falls out and hits the floor, and they're like, oh, that's weird. And they pick up the photo to take a look at it, and they say, hey, do you know why this old photo is like from the 1980s? Hey, do you know why this photo is in the book? Hands it to my sister. Elizabeth looks at it, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's a picture of my dad holding me on the day that I was born.
Oh, wow.
And so, the meaning, if you connect the dots, maybe it was kind of a sign from the heavens of, hey, congrats on getting engaged, but you'll always be my baby girl kind of deal. And, our dad passed, back in 97. So maybe that was just his way of saying, hey, I see what's going on down there. And, so why else would that client pick up that book with that picture the day after she got engaged? Again, it kind of defies
statistical
does.
Probability kind of thing.
Yeah.
How about you,
Well,
Pat?
we had something weird happen to us. It was not very long ago, probably within the past year, and we were driving around, me and the family, and we were talking about something, and I may have even mentioned this before on the show, but I I can't do the story justice right now. I can't even remember. We were talking about a song, a popular song, and I can't even think of what the song was. But we were talking about the song for some reason, and not sooner had we finished talking about it, the radio was on, and that song comes on the radio.
What?
So it's like we had the conversation was over, and then the song comes on the radio, and we all just kind of went like, what?
That's awesome.
It was pretty weird.
Do you remember the song?
But I don't. My kids probably would.
Yeah.
But I can't think of what it was. It was like some 80s song.
Okay.
But,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When that kind of stuff happens, that's kind of interesting. It's got to be a little bit of a wink too, you know?
It's weird.
That is weird. And I think you'll get that a lot, synchronicities and coincidences with song and music, just because, a lot of us find meaning in song lyrics, and because of the timing of when they happen to come on the station. So
my personal one is kind of interesting. I'm not from this part of the country. I was born in upstate.
He's not from here. Get him.
He's not one of us. Get, stranger. I was born in upstate New York and was raised in New York and Virginia and Florida. So I was all over the map on the East Coast. And up until I was 19, actually almost 20 years old. I moved here in the summer right before my 20th birthday of 1997. And so I moved to Lincoln, Nebraska. So I did not have any connection. My entire family, my siblings, my cousins, my great-grandparents, everybody lived in Florida. There was not that some people lived in Maryland. Hey, they lived in Maryland. Maryland, that was about as far north as any of our family lived. So Maryland, Georgia, Florida, that was about the extent of it. And that's it. And so I moved dang near 2,000 miles west. I think the solid distance is like 1,800 and some change from city to city. So far enough away that like the restaurants are different, not that there's a bunch of mapping nerds out there, but the ways that maps are created west of the Mississippi is different than the ways that maps are created east of the Mississippi.
Huh.
I won't
Did
get
not know that.
I won't get into it because there's people who don't care to hear it. But
here you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you listen long enough, you might just learn something.
Yes,
there you go.
West of the Mississippi versus east of the Mississippi, it's an entirely different mapping methodology. And the reason why people just don't, and frankly, the East Coast should just do what not East Coast, but east of the Mississippi should do what west of the Mississippi has done, but they're not gonna because it's way too hard. Yeah. That's the answer. So anyway. Very different. So I move out here, and I have no friends, no family, no connective tissue family-wise here. Fast forward in time, I meet my wife, my future wife. Didn't know she was going to be my wife yet, but I did the Wayne's World. She will be mine. Oh, yes, she will be mine. And so fast forward, we get married, we have a family, we live in Omaha, Nebraska. Once again, like our last name is the only name in the phone book. Look us up. We're the only Fosslers in town. Now my brother lives here, so he's in there too. But anybody who has our name is family, you know, and that's how it goes. So I'm driving down a road, for anybody familiar with our towns, Harrison, driving down Harrison towards our house at the time. And I just casually glance over. I'm at a light, and I look over into a cemetery that's right off to the south of Harrison Street. Do you know the story, Pat?
You told me this story. It's a great story.
And I glance over, and just kind of how you do at a red light, you're just kind of chilling, and I see a tombstone on the edge of the cemetery, the very, very outer edge, and it just says Fossler, last name on the tombstone. And I was like, what? That's weird. There's nobody. That's my name. There's no.
It wasn't like a Christmas Carol where you're seeing into the future.
Exactly.
It's me.
Oh no!
Can you fall in?
So I went into the cemetery, pulled in, and got out and looked at the other grave, and it was one grave. There's not a whole bunch. There's one grave, Fossler, and it has the birth date like the early 1800s, and died in like 1871. You know, so this is not a new grave. Yeah. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's bonkers. And so I looked it up, and it was just this offshoot. It was a person. He lived here. He got married, married a lady. She got sick and died, and he buried her here. And he went on and moved away. His name was Joseph Fossler. Just went off and did his own thing. And it was the most random, weird thing, and it was just like this tiny little piece of connection. Like, oh my gosh, like that's so weird.
And it was right by where you guys ended up living.
We lived a mile and a half away. Yeah.
But did you determine, were you related in some way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So did some genealogical searching on this, and it turns out that her husband would have been my like great, is it one more great there? Might have been just great uncle.
Gotcha.
So he was like the brother of my great-great-grandfather.
See, you've told me this story before, and every time I drive by that cemetery...
Did you see it?
No, I stop at the light, and I'm looking over there. It's like, I got to find this headstone
I'll show it to
telling
you.
me about.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be weird if we go back and it's gone?
If that happened, I would. I would straight up just run away. I'd run into the wilderness. I'm going to Antarctica. I'm finding Hollow Earth. I'm done. Yeah, that'd be crazy. But no, I mean, and so kind of as a little like homage, like not every Memorial Day. I wish I was better about it, but there are certain Memorial Days when I remember, I'll go down there and drop off a little thing of flowers, or
cool.
Or when I lived there, it was on one of my running routes, and I don't like that whole like that whole thing where you hold your breath by a cemetery when you walk by.
Did you ever hear about that? Heard of such a thing?
Must be an East Coast thing.
Yeah,
we're like,
we don't do that west of the Mississippi.
You hold your breath by a cemetery, you'll die. What? So you hold your breath when you walk by a cemetery. Because, like, you don't want, like...
To inhale the spirits
of them? To steal your breath or whatever. You never heard that?
No, I want my breath to be with extra spirits in it.
Exactly.
Isn't there one you're supposed to lift your feet up when you drive over railroad tracks or something? Or you go through a tunnel and you lift your feet up or something?
Maybe.
I don't know why.
Bridge, maybe.
Or bridge. I don't know.
Well, I thought it was silly. Weird. I was like, it was a silly superstition. I'm not going to do that. So,
did you jog a mile and a half with your bouquet
no
of flowers?
Exactly.
To your great uncle's grave.
They're all tore up. Well, it's his wife though.
Wife, yeah, that's right.
They're all torn up from me running. Here you go. Sorry, they're all busted. Turn around. No, but what happens is whenever I would run by, I would just kind of do a little bit of an acknowledgement, like kind of like you know. Blow a kiss kind of thing, a little
air fist bump,
just an acknowledgement, because it was like, you know what, I was here when I first moved here. I was the only one too, so it was just kind of a neat little
that is
that's
cool.
So it was a neat little thing, a little synchronicity for me.
You know, it's hard to think of things on the spot, you know, because
it is.
Well, and obviously, like a lot of our segments, this started with the JFK Lincoln thing, and now it's just spitballing into coincidences and synchronicities in general. I am going to share. I don't think I told you guys yet. I'm going to share something with you and with all the listeners, apparently, that I've only told to like one other person.
That's exclusive.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know. I don't think I told you guys this because it's so weird. Like when it happened, I'm like, nobody is going to believe me if I actually said that this really happened.
Oh my gosh, get ready.
Yeah, because you know, my job is a psychic medium, so my life is immersed in the weird and the strange and mysterious, and this one literally made my jaw drop. So a couple of weeks ago, a month ago by now maybe, I caught wind. I have a client in Kansas City who he finds all sorts of cool articles and weird stuff, and every now and again he'll send me an email saying, hey, just check this out. So he sent me a link to it was a podcast, and he was like, you have to listen to this. So, and I was like, okay, cool. So I found it, and I clicked it, and I was listening to it. And long story short, it was this interview about a story that originated out in Kentucky or West Virginia about some guy who claims to have seen some weird goblin-type creatures in the caves by his house.
Right.
And
yes.
Okay, so the center of this story, it kind of centers around this gentleman named David Christie. Mm-hmm. And so that whole day, as I'm driving from A to B and from work and to pick up my daughter from school, I'm just like, my mind is blown listening to this crazy story about the goblins in the cave and David Christie and the whole story.
Yeah.
And so I have David Christie on my mind all day long. And so I'm at home with my daughter Sky, and a couple days prior we had gone to the nursery and we got just like a little aloe vera plant because it was a snowy day. We thought we'd do something green and lush and earthy to kind of lift our spirits and everything. So, we got the plant, we potted the plant, and the plant was in the corner. And we were in the kitchen, and for a few days Sky was trying to figure out a name. She wanted to name her plant. Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey Sky, what'd you name your plant? And she goes, Christie. And I said, huh? And I said, wow, that's an odd name for a plant. Okay, though, good name. And she said, wait. And she's 4.5, by the way, so her mind just kind of runs wild. And she's like, but that's the plant's last name.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too, because before that, what a weird name, Christie, okay. But she said, that's the plant's last name. I go, okay, what's the plant's first name? And she goes, Dig. And I go, oh, Dig, like, yeah, we had to dig in the dirt to plant the plant. Cool. She goes, no, wait. Dig, Dav, Dave, David. She said, David is his name. So I said, it literally gave me goosebumps. And I said, so your plant's name is David Christie? And she goes, yes. And then she grabbed grabbed
David Christie
and walked off.
Yeah. And then she just walked out into the garage because we were getting ready to leave. And my jaw was, I'm like, that kid just read my mind, or it defies any kind of logic or math that she would come up with the first and last name of this guy's name that I was thinking about.
Because you hadn't been listening to the podcast when she was around.
It was a creepy podcast. Heck no. And so when I was listening to it, I was in the car, like on the way to, when I was running errands during the afternoon, not around her, so.
That is bizarre.
That is insane. And she was like feeling it out.
She
like,
was feeling it out.
Duh.
Dig, Dav, Dad, David.
She's
Christie.
just grabbing that out of your brain.
Yeah, she extracted it. So if anyone tells you mind reading is not a real thing, I beg to differ.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she did it intentionally or accidentally, but
that's weird.
It was beyond coincidence is what it was.
And David Christie the aloe would disagree too.
Yes. David Christie, the aloe vera plant.
He's like, it's real.
But it was like this moment of lucid clarity or something, because the other day, just out of the blue, I was like, hey Sky, do you remember what your plant's name is? And she said something weird like, oh, I don't know, his name's Frank or something. I was like, okay, cool, like the moment's gone.
It's dead. It's dead.
Yeah, but that day, I don't know, it was synchronicity or coincidence or something beyond what I've ever experienced. So,
like your blood must have run cold. You're like, what?
It literally stopped me in my tracks for a moment, and I was like, who am I going to tell that's not going to think I'm completely insane?
That's nuts.
So now I've told all of our listeners, so...
They don't think you're nuts.
I tell you what, man, if you want to run for your money in terms of what's real and what's not, just have long conversations with your 3 or 4-year-old about things that aren't supposed to exist, because kids do say the weirdest things, man.
Oh.
And sometimes it borders on the paranormal. Hence, paranormal dads.
Oh, dude.
Here we are.
I'm with you 100%.
And then when they get older, what becomes scary is how many gray hairs they give us and how much...
That's paranormal, too.
That is paranormal.
We should do a kid say the darndest paranormal things.
Oh my gosh. We totally could.
There you go.
We could.
Well, if you look at how many gray hairs I had before kids and how many I have now, it's quite a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, you zoom in real tight. Those are tiny pictures of your children on those hairs. You can see them.
It's a mosaic.
I gave it to my dad. Thanks. That was a great one, man.
Yeah, well,
fun.
thank you everybody for listening, and we appreciate all the good comments and the reviews we've been getting. But we'd like more. If you haven't reviewed our show, please feel free to reach out. We are on Podbean.
Yep.
We're on iTunes. We're on
Stitcher.
We're on SoundCloud.
We're on Intune is another one I discovered our show. So
And we're on Spotify now.
and Spotify. So yeah, drop us a review. Let us know what you think of the show, and also thank you to everybody at freesounds.org.
Freesound.org. It's actually a really good resource for anybody. It gives us a lot of our music and sound clips and sound bites, and it's just fun. And we also have Paranormal Dad's T-shirts, sweatshirts, all that good stuff available. If you're interested in getting one, just
check out our Facebook page.
Yep, they're pretty reasonable, and we'll ship them to you in a speedy manner. And God, I think that just about covers it. Like we said last episode, for the diehard fans out there, if you listen past the final segment music, we do a lot of bloopers and outtakes. That'll give you a couple chuckles to end the episode in the right mood.
I would be remiss if I didn't pull out this hidden box from underneath the table here to reveal a giant package of glow sticks. Glow stick outro.
We have fun with this, don't we? Oh.
Yeah. Until then, we'll see ya.
See you guys.
Sayonara.
Oh.
Yeah, wake up.
Wake up, buddy!
Quit hitting yourself.
Quit hitting yourself. Quit hitting yourself. Quit hitting yourself. Quit hitting yourself. I sound like a jerk.
What in the world?
That is the internet. Do not drop it. Do not break it.
Man.
They probably have a room of nerds that they have to go and consult
Dude,
with.
and they're probably just like average Joes who are dedicated to it. Well,
like,
technically speaking.
with no like social skills whatsoever.
No.
They can rattle off
They're
anything.
just back in a corner playing Dungeons and Dragons. And, oh, you gotta go talk to the nerds about that.
Oh, the guy rolls his eyes.
Oh, okay.
It's like they could tell you the name of Thanos' grandma, but they couldn't have a conversation with the
A
waitress.
girl enters the room.
I
Your
make
pin
fun.
drop. Nobody talks.
Yeah.
I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. First of all, I love you guys. I do.
I love you too, Eddie.
So much love. The second thing
Get
is...
your hand off my leg, though. No, I'm just kidding.